Welcome to the New England and New York Real Estate Journal podcast. I'm your host, Rick Kaplan. My guest today is Mark Silverman, and he's with Marks Moving and Storage. And we welcome you today, Mark. How are you?
Rick. An honor to be on your show.
So, Mark, tell me a little bit about your journey to where you are today.
Well, it's a pretty long journey, but it's a great one. So as far as my moving and storage company journey, which I've been doing for the past 46 years, it started off at Northeastern University. I was a student and I needed money. Like most kids, I needed money for tuition. I needed money to eat. So how are you going to get money? Well, you can go get a job or you can create your own. So I took a credit card and I bought an old oil company van, a little van from Scott Oil. Borrowed money on the credit card and said, I'll just move people around. I'll make a few dollars as a trucker, as a mover, as a man with a van. And it worked out pretty well for a very short period of time. And then the competition in the area, a couple moving companies said, hey, you can't be a mover. You need a license. You need insurance. And I'm like, hey, I'm just a college kid. I just trying to earn a little money. But since you've challenged me and since you've told me that I can't do it, I love that game. I love that incentive to tell me what I can't do. So I went and I applied for the moving company license. I went and I purchased the appropriate insurance. And that's where the story began. That was 1979. And as time went on, the trucks got bigger, the trucks got nicer. The services that we offered became greater. And the interesting part that goes along with this story is since the moving company was doing fairly well in the early stages, I was a student at Northeastern in, let's say, year 3, and I had a decision to make. I had to either stop doing this moving and pay more attention to my studies, or I had to drop out of college. Well, I knew Northeastern University would always be on Huntington Ave. I didn't know if the opportunity to have a moving company would always exist. So I dropped out of college. I said, I'll be back someday. And I continued to grow the moving company, started a family. And when my children were all out of college, I said, well, they're done with college. I guess it's time for Dad to go back. So back I went to Huntington Ave on Northeastern University on Huntington Ave, and I got back into college. And in 2015, I graduated. It took me 39 years, so you could say I'm a slow learner. It took me 39 years, but I graduated with a degree from the business school, DeMoore McKim School of Business at Northeastern. And I can tell you the second time I went back, or I should say the time I went back, I learned so much. I was there with the kids a third of my age, but yet the pace was very fast. The knowledge was just more than I could possibly absorb. And I was like a sponge. I would raise my hand and ask questions. I never did that first round. I never did that as a young kid. Maybe I was embarrassed. Maybe I didn't care. But that second round at Northeastern, I learned so much, brought it back to my business, which helped it grow even further, and was able to hold that diploma. So 2 real good stories from that pursuit from both education perspective and a business perspective.
Well, Mark, are the parties the same at after 30-something years at the college?
Well, it's again funny stories because here I am and I'm with all these younger kids and one time one of the students was like, well, let's we can go back to my apartment to the 4 of us and we can go like study over there. Well, I started shaking. What am I going to be doing as an old man? It's getting a little creepy here. And so I believe the parties are still the same.
So you got your degree.
Yes.
And your business is still going strong.
Absolutely. Stronger than ever.
Are any of your kids involved in your business?
So over the years, all the kids have worked in one capacity or another. But I believe it's very important that people, children, adults, everybody, that you follow your passions. And so all my kids have other passions that don't involve trucks and moving and storage. And I've been very careful never to encourage them or never to put any pressure on them to join the company. So the answer is they've all worked for me in various capacities over the years, but no, they all have their own passions and their own jobs that don't involve the company.
Now, you do moving for residential and commercial?
Absolutely. So at the very beginning, it was really mostly residential, and as time went on, you need to adapt, you need to change, you need to grow, and so it started off just household moving, then commercial moving, then long distance moving, international moving, local storage, portable storage. If somebody or a company, whether it's a consumer or whether it's another business, anything that has to do with moving, I can probably help them with. And if I can't, then I know who the right guy is and I'll refer them. But we get involved with cleanouts, disposals, excuse me. We get involved with large donation projects. When companies are closing down, we get involved with that as well, and decommissioning of operations. If it involves trucks, if it involves men, if it involves warehousing, if it involves shipping, we're involved in some way.
So, how many trucks do you have at this point?
Well, a little bit of a trick question because we probably have over 30 trucks and trailers. So it sounds really impressive, but the reality is they don't all run every day. But we have great depth with our equipment. So if there's a large project that needs to be done, we're not going out and looking to rent or borrow equipment. And that's another benefit of dealing with a mover that's been around for a while is we've been able to acquire and secure assets that make us ready when we need to be. So maybe somebody doesn't think they need storage, but they end up needing it because somebody had a fire or a flood, or they have an opportunity to make an acquisition and they need extra space for those assets. We almost always can make it work and help them.
Now, one of the big discussions that we have going on at this time are storage facilities. That seems to be a very popular industry right now, and they're all over the place. So when you say, now you don't have a storage facility, or do you have a warehouse that you would store the personal properties or office equipment that people moving at different times, or situations like that?
So we sort of have all the above. It's a very good question. So if you ask the consumer, say a homeowner or an individual, you're in the storage business. Oh, so you have all those little garage units with the doors and you open them up, and that's called self-storage. That's what people envision when you say you have storage, are these little units. And that's referred to often as mini storage or self-storage. And typically, frequently, those are used by homeowners or sometimes businesses that want to store goods on their own. They want to pick up and deliver goods on their own. We do have some of those, but we don't focus on that. We're a full service warehouse that provides the trucks, the manpower, inventory, digital inventories. We move the items in and out of the warehouse. If somebody needs to rent 5,000 square feet for their business and they want to rent space and use their employees to move things in and out, we do that as well. If someone has product they need to store and have us do fulfillment, we do that. We're really a boutique type of storage and moving company where we're providing all of the services. Those that sort of want to do things themselves, we might be able to accommodate them, but that's not really our focus. Our focus is being a full resource to individuals and companies that need support.
So you're storing hard uh, product. You're not storing data or anything of that nature.
That is correct. We're not data storage. We're not data storage. This is, hard physical assets of all types.
So when your merchandise, well, your products that you're storing is that hard merchandise, you need a lot of storage space. So what kind of warehouse space are you talking about that you have?
So we're very fortunate. We operate over 100,000 square feet. So if you convert that to cubic feet, that's a million or two cubic feet of storage. So we have a lot of storage. We have warehouse storage. We have outdoor containerized storage. We have yard space if people have industrial commodities. We have forklifts. We can do rigging. We really either can do, I don't want to say anything because there's always something that I can't do, but we can do almost anything. And if we don't know how to do it or we're not the best person for it, we typically know who to refer you to.
Now, I've seen these kind of a temporary container that some companies have been using where they drop it and you can fill it as you need, and then when you're ready for them to take it away, you call up and they send down a truck, they load it on, and they take it away.
Yeah,
You
it's
have,
wonderful. It's wonderful, and again, we can do that. We don't really want to. We want to provide the storage, the labor. We want to provide the proper protection of those assets, the proper padding, the proper cushioning material. So, if someone called and said, "Can you get me a container, drop it at my house?" Sure, we can do that. But we're more into uh, people that have greater needs, people that I'll say are people and companies that are more needy, people that need help. Maybe there's a company, maybe there's a life science company that wants to convert 10,000 more square feet in their building to lab space, and they have a bunch of assets, machinery, equipment that they're not sure if they're going to need in the future, so they can't liquidate them. So we'll go pick that up and store that equipment until they determine whether they need it or don't need it any longer. There may be somebody that has, they're building a new building, but it won't be ready for 6 months. And for 6 months, they need storage space because they've outgrown their current warehouse. We'll provide that Band-Aid. We can store things for 90 seconds for somebody or 90 years. We can provide 10 square feet of storage or 100,000 square feet of storage. So people that come to us are typically people that are looking for solutions, that have challenges, that need a little help. And I used to have a full head of hair, but I've sacrificed my hair to worry about my clients' moves and storage for them so that I'll lose my hair and they don't have to. That's what they pay us for. They pay us so they don't have to worry, that we take the worry out of their challenges.
well, I don't have to worry about having hair either. You know, I gave it up many years ago, and I don't worry about it. So
Saves a lot of time. You don't have to
it
worry about
does,
combing it in the
you know.
morning.
Although I still like to get up in the morning and use the blow dryer, you
There
know.
you go. Looks wonderful. You're doing great.
But so you brought up life sciences, which is a very interesting topic, especially in what you're doing, because they have a need for all different types of storage. One of the types that it's kind of it's lacking in this area is cold storage.
So we don't currently have it, Rick, but we have, we'll call them partner vendors that do. So when we get that phone call, we know what to do.
But on when you have cold storage, you also have to have the right type of transportation of moving the product, uh,
Absolutely.
which is
So
like a refrigeration units that you.
absolutely. So what I'm smart enough to know after all these decades in the business is if there are companies out there that can do things better than you do it, partner with them, but let them do it. So that's what we do. But again, we're sort of a one source stop for almost any type of need. So if there are people that need cold storage, we can help them.
So in other words, someone calls you up and they say, well, I need this and this moved in a refrigerated unit into a cold storage unit. You said, no problem. You give them the quote and it's seamless for them. They don't see you running around to different companies or whatever. You take care of the whole thing.
Yes, in that scenario, we're very transparent. We would explain that we partner with companies that have that greater expertise than we do, but that we're still the person in charge. We're still the person, the contact. We're still the person, we're sort of the project manager. We're the ones that they come to. If they have any questions, they have any concerns, they just come to us. And so that's what people have learned to rely on us for, is whatever their need is, either being capable of doing it or knowing how to get it done. Very seldom do we say, there's a hotel chain called Four Seasons Hotel, and if you needed a pair of shoes and you went down to the front desk and said, oh, my shoes got lost on my flight or something, do you sell shoes? They don't say, sorry, we don't sell shoes. They say, what kind of shoe are you looking for? What size do you need? And when do you need it? And then they figure out how to get it done. Well, we're the same way. If we don't have it within our store, if we don't have it within our toolbox, then we don't say we can't do that. We help them get it done. So people rely on us to get things done. Another interesting thing about, you talk about relying on us and to get things done. We believe at Marks Moving and Storage, we believe that you sort of get what you give in the world. And therefore, we talked a lot so far about business and the different services that we offer. But we put an equal, if not greater, amount of emphasis on how can we help people in need. And this is the part of our business that I have to say, at this juncture in my career, in my life, I probably enjoy the most. So we've partnered with the Westboro Food Pantry, another organization called Welcome Home in Newton, Mass., and another one called Household Goods in Acton. And these are organizations that are on the front line of providing, whether it's food or furniture or household goods, for those people in need. And we practice, this is a new term I learned lately, but it's called enlightened self-interest. And I didn't even know what that meant until someone told me I was practicing it. Excuse me. And what that is it's a behavior that says, well, if you help others, somehow or another, it's going to help you. And I didn't realize exactly that we were practicing that enlightened self-interest. But then I thought about it and I said, wait a minute, when we help others, I feel damn good. I feel really good that I was able to do something to help other people, those in need, people less fortunate than I am or my company is. And then what I found was that we were getting business. People were using us because they'd say, hey, you're the kind of guy, you're the kind of business I want to do business with. Because your focus isn't just on profit. Yes, I want to make a profit. I want to make a ton of money. One, because I want money for myself and my employees so they can live. And two, so that I have more money to spend on trailer loads of mattresses that we buy every year, $25,000 worth of mattresses, brand new ones to give to those in need, and support these organizations as we do. So we're very involved in the community. We seldom say no to a request for services. And I actually think that that's a good message to the listeners or the viewers of this podcast, is that most of you probably do practice it in some way, but you have an obligation to give back. It doesn't mean that you have to give something out of your pocket. If you don't have the financial means to help somebody else, then donate an hour at the food pantry, donate an hour at the soup kitchen, the animal shelter, but do something. And I have to say again, at this point in my career, that's one of the most important messages that I try and get to everybody I come in contact with, that in some way help others, leave the world a better place than when you came to it. Do something positive. Big message.
Now you have a foundation that you started, correct?
So you go back to the college experience when I went back the second time. So at one point we had a tenant, the United Way of Tri-County, and they would see some of the furniture that we were collecting and bringing it to the dump. We were throwing it away because people didn't want it anymore. And they're like, hey, there's a lot of people in need. Don't throw that away. We can help you get it to those in need. So, on a very informal basis, with the United Way of Tri-County, we were getting that furniture in the hands of those in need. When I was at Northeastern the second round, a professor by the name of Ted Clark said, that effort of recycling furniture, that's great. You can make that bigger. You can do that better. You can help impact more lives. Let's start a 501c3. I'll show you how to do it. I'll help you do it. I'll help you establish a board of directors, and let's create this. Let's make it bigger. Well, we've made it so big that we collect about a dozen trailer loads, 53-foot trailer loads of furniture that ends up in the hands of those in need. We made it bigger to the point where once a year we raise $25,000 or more, and we go and we buy a trailer load of brand new mattresses to get those into the hands of those in need. So Marks Northeastern Furniture Foundation is the name of the nonprofit. Then what we found is that there were a bunch of people that wanted to do something nice and donate furniture, but they weren't people that we were moving. They weren't people that we were already at their house. So I said, how can we get that? How can we make the pickup? How can we secure that nice furniture when we don't have a truck there? So I started another organization, another company, I should say. It's called remarkabledonations.org. What is that? That's a website people can go to, and at a lower price than hiring a mover, at a very economical fee, they can go online and order a pickup for that furniture. And then that furniture goes directly to the organization I mentioned earlier called Household Goods in Acton, who has the relationships with the caseworkers and those in need and allows us to collect even more furniture. So just about every Tuesday, a Remarkable Donations series of pickups is being made. So yes, if you don't have to look too far. It doesn't matter what town you live in, what city you live in, what state you live in. You don't have to look too far to find people that are struggling. And, you can say, well, and I used to be like this, I think. Well, those people can go get a job. Those people can, go make money. But it's not that easy. There are people with disabilities. There are people that have just run into bad luck. There's all sorts of stories. And you sometimes, I think people get used to maybe living a stable life where they go to work themselves, they can pay their bills, they're enjoying a nice life, some struggling more than others. But there are always people that need your help. And I think that,
Hey, Mark, you sound like a good guy.
well,
Try to help others.
I think I've been very lucky. I've had a lot of people help me in business over the years. I've had a lot of people give me good advice. I've had a lot of people watch out for my well-being. And so I've been lucky. Not everybody's lucky.
Well, my uncle always told me there's no such thing as luck because you make your own luck. If you weren't doing what you do, you wouldn't have that luck.
Well, it's true. The harder you work, the luckier you get. There's no question about it. Luck doesn't fall from the sky. But if you have an objective, if you have a mission, if you have a goal, and I also learned, and on these podcasts I try and share things that have been helpful to me. And I was told more than once in my life and read more than once in my life, to try and surround yourself with good people. They say that a parent can look at their kid as a teenager and determine how that kid's going to end up by the friends that they keep. If their friends are a bunch of troublemakers, they're going to end up a troublemaker. If their friends are good, conscientious, responsible people, chances are they're going to grow up to be a good, conscientious adult. And I found that, if I hang around with people, if I network with people, if I'm around people that are trying to do good things in the world. Look, none of us are perfect. We all have our faults. We all have our vices. But if you're basically, if your head's in the right place and you're trying to do the right thing and you hang out with people that share that common goal of helping others and doing the right thing, and also make sure they're smarter than you are. I want to be the dumbest guy in the group, which I seem to have no problem being. But it's good to be the dumbest guy in the group because then you learn a lot from the people around you. So I learn something new every day, and I hope that I did announce I'm going to retire. I'm going to retire in 2058. I decided I'll be 100 years old then.
In 2058.
Yeah, 2058. I'm going to take up golf in 2058. I'm going to learn to golf. So, it's good to have a roadmap. It's good to have a plan.
Well, I can tell you right now that in 2058, you're going to have to know how to do it digitally.
I think maybe in 2058, the biggest challenge I'll have is maybe knowing my name and where I am.
Yeah.
But if I'm fortunate enough to be here, I'll take that. But you do need a plan. I enjoy what I do for work. They also say if you enjoy, find a job you like, and you'll never work another day in your life. And so you see a lot of kids nowadays, and that's how I date myself when I start calling people kids. But a lot of the younger generation, and many of them are very hard workers. They know digital stuff. They know AI. They know things way better than I do. But there's no easy road. It doesn't matter whether you're chasing the digital road or what you're doing. It comes from hard work. It comes from a commitment. It comes from sacrifice. People talk about, oh, well, I want to go hiking. I want to be with my family. I need this perfect balance. I got news for you, folks. There's no such thing as, work, personal, life balance. There's no such thing. It will never be balanced. At one time, one's going to be high, one's going to be low, and it'll change. But don't look for the perfect life. Don't look for the perfect balance because it doesn't exist. You have to find a program that works.
You have to enjoy life. And if working is what you enjoy, then that's what you do. People have this thing in their heads that this is the way things go. You work for 30 years, you retire, and then you die. That's not the way it should be. You enjoy every day of it, from the day you're born to the day you die. And that's the way life's supposed to be.
You have to have fun. Most of the people who work for him, again, I'm very lucky I have a great team. But once in a while, there'll be somebody that, they're not happy. They don't like me, or they don't like the company, or they don't like being a mover or driver or whatever. And, sometimes I have to sit them down and I have to say, look, I don't want you to leave, but, life is short. Find a job that you enjoy. Find something that you like doing. Don't wake up every day and go, oh my God, I got to go to work. You don't want to do that. And one of the reasons I think my company has been successful is that the guys that work for me, the guys that work with me, and the women that work with me, they enjoy what they do. Not 100% of the time, but maybe 10% of the time. But they enjoy what they do. And therefore, they develop a little bit of a passion. And what's the net result? The net result is they find a good way to earn a living, and our clients love them. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times a client has handed us a very large check or paid on a credit card, and they go, thank you so much. And I'm like, why are you thanking me? You just, gave me a bunch of money for what we did. That's my job. And they go, yeah, but, you guys went above and beyond. It's not just about completing the task. Not only did you complete the task, but you made it fun. You made it less stressful. And you did everything you said you were going to do. And on those rare occasions, by the way, because we're not perfect, when we fail, when we don't do what we promised to do, there's no chase. We're like, you're absolutely right. I had a couple guys out sick. We were a little short-handed. I'm sorry about that. This is what we're going to do to make it right. And so we find if you give it your best and you're transparent, it usually works out really, really well. And when it doesn't work out perfectly, if you've been above board with people the whole way through, they're very understanding and they're very accommodating. I have some of the greatest customers. It's funny, early on, if I had an opportunity to do a job, you just take it. Doesn't matter who it was, where it was, what the job was. It's like, oh, I need the money, I need the job. And that's another beauty of dealing with a company like Marks Moving and Storage. We've been around long enough that we can recognize, is it a good fit or not? And is this going to be good for both of us? Bob Wolf, the sports attorney, used to say that, the best deal is when both parties walk away from the table happy. Same thing with my transactions. Can't just be me going, oh, wow, I got a nice job, I got a bunch of money. That customer has to be thrilled. That customer has to become an ambassador for my company. They don't have
Exactly.
to. They have to now say, hey, I just had Marks do this. They're unbelievable. Call Mark or whoever at my company to use them. They'll do a great job. I still have my cell phone with me at all times. We're in year 46 or 47, whatever it is. Still have on the back, set a goal, never quit. And I still publish my cell number. So you look at some of our marketing, my cell number is still on here. Text me. I mean, if I'm sleeping, I'm not answering your text. But pretty much, if you're calling me or you're texting me and I'm working with you on something, I'm reachable. And you're not going through 15 different levels. Do I have a team that helps me? Do I have a support staff? Absolutely. Are there certain tasks that I'm not going to move your furniture anymore? I did that. I'm not moving anyone's furniture. I don't want to lift things and hurt myself at my age.
Right.
But I have a great team that does it, and I'll make sure that there's a good plan. So when you hire our company, you hire a company that has a team and has the depth to accommodate you and make it a good transaction.
So, Mark, if someone wants to find out more information about your company, I'm sure you have a website, which is?
So we have a website, Marks Moving, M-A-R-K-S, Moving, M-O-V-I-N-G, marksmoving.com. And you can go to our storage website, which tells a little bit more about the storage. And the name of that is the word the, T-H-E, storage, S-T-O-R-A-G-E, company, thestoragecompany.com. So marksmoving.com and thestoragecompany.com. And of course, you can always text or call me. The numbers are, right on the website. But if you're writing them down now, it's 508-889-0640, 508-889-0640. You can call or text me with questions. There's no obligation. I will contribute a fair amount of time and effort without you having to write a check if you have a serious project or question that you're interested in talking about.
And we'll have that information in the descriptions of either the YouTube video or any of the podcast platforms that we post on. Mark, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. It sounds like you got a 5-star company you're running.
Well, I appreciate the privilege. I do have to say one more thing, though, because this is sort of cool. I say, if I'm standing, I'm branding. So if you look at my necktie, you'll see the storage company Inc., Marks Moving and Storage, remarkable donations, and my caricature with my sunglasses. So another good message for the audience is if you're standing, you're branding. Be seen, be heard, let everybody know what you're doing, and be good to others. So really appreciate being on the show, Rick.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, and we're a big fan of branding. Being the New England and the New York Real Estate Journal for over 65 something years. I don't know, close to 70 years now. We understand that. You gotta put your name out there. Any form of fashion. More so on your tie than on underwear, but I think anything might work.
Yeah.
Again, thank you, Mark.
The opportunity. Thank you, Rick. Be well. Take care.
And you're listening to the NEREJ, NYREJ podcast. I'm Rick Kaplan. Until next time.